Hey, how's it going everyone? Welcome back to another video. If this is your first time here, welcome to my channel. My name is Ben. I'm an online entrepreneur, and here on my YouTube channel, I show you all the ins and outs of my reselling business. In today's video, we're going over 20 different items that have sold over on my eBay account. These items are by no means everything that's sold in my store, but they are a good variety and example to show you guys the kinds of things that are currently selling for me over on eBay. Real quick before we get started, there's just two things to do real fast. The first being our positive comment shout out. This week it goes to Melinda Fullerton, who says, "Go Bearcats. I say yes to the mystery bags. Thank you for another great video. Have a great week." Thank you, Melinda. I appreciate the support. I will definitely be grabbing one of those mystery bags the next time I go up to that store, and I appreciate the kind words. The second thing I want to remind you guys about is we have a giveaway going on right now here on my YouTube channel. I'm giving away a Famemo PM246 thermal laser printer. For more information about that, please watch my last video. All the information you need regarding that is in there. Just as a quick reminder, that contest does end March 9th, so you have a few more days to get your entries in. Please make sure you do it by then. With all that being said, let's hop right into it. The first item we're going to talk about today is this Sony EVS5000 Pro cassette player / recorder. This was an awesome find. I found it in a thrift store and I did end up paying up for it. I found it at a local Goodwill for $25. I don't find that many good electronics here at my local Goodwills. However, I do make it a point to go back and check the electronics at every store I go to, just in case I come across something like this. And this is why you need to make a point of going through sections that you typically don't find stuff in, because once in a while you will come across something like this. This ended up selling for a best offer of $275. I had it on my store for about a month. Another thing I've noticed is a lot of beginner resellers tend to steer away from these bigger items like cassette players or VHS players, DVD players, stuff like that. Even if they are worth good money, they're typically scared of the bigger items because of the shipping. But the only way you're going to learn how to do that is to hop in and actually do it. Don't be afraid of making money. If the profit's there and you think you can make money on it, take a chance and purchase it. The reason I ended up looking up the specific unit was because it did have this flip down cover here on the front. You can see there's a bunch of controls on the flip down part, which indicated that it might have been a higher end unit. And it was. There are a wide variety of brands out there that you can look at and that are worth picking up, especially if you're picking them up at a cheap price. Like I said, I paid up a little bit on this one, but in this case it was worth it. But if you're picking up a unit for $5 or $10, there's plenty that I've sold in the $80 to $100 range, no problem. Now, when you do buy players, I do suggest that you go over and plug it in to make sure it turns on while you're at the store. As you can see right here, I also include a picture of it being powered on in my listing. And then once you buy it and bring it home, do your thorough checks, do as much testing as you can with what you have. This one didn't have the remote, like I said, but I was able to go through and check the functionality enough to where I felt confident selling it. I also should note that my Goodwills in my area have a return policy with their electronics, that if you get it home and it doesn't end up working, you can bring it back with the receipt with the tag still on it for up to 2 weeks, and they will refund you your cash. All in all, this was a great unit and I would definitely pick it up, and it's definitely something that you guys should look out for when you are outsourcing. These electronic combo players can do really good money. Next, we have a pair of Rock Revival jeans. These are women's jeans that I picked up in a lot. I paid $10 a piece for them, ended up selling this one for $45. This was the last one that I had from that lot. Rock Revival is just a great brand to look for overall, and if you are just starting out, it's one that you should know. Here's what the tag looks like on the back. This is one of the ways that it can look. Also, you might see some that are more long and they extend down to the pocket. Those are the two types of tags that you want to look for. On the inside of the jeans, you should see something like this, where this one says Jamelia right there on the inside, and that is the model of the jeans. It's definitely important to list that in your listings because some people are very particular about the models that they ended up buying. But overall, Rock Revival is a great brand to look for, and if you're getting them cheap enough for like $10 and under, there's definitely room to be made. Next here, I have a Davis Squire men's cashmere long sleeve sweater. I talk about cashmere sweaters a lot and how I pick them up as bread and butter items. Typically, I can get at least $20 out of a cashmere piece. You can see this one ended up selling for $27.62. I did have it on sale of 15% off. Here's what the tag of this one looks like. It is a better brand to look for if you're looking for cashmere stuff. Davis & Squire, you can see it says 100% cashmere right there, and again down here on the tag. When you're looking up for cashmere stuff, just make sure that there's no holes or rips or snags. Cashmere is very prone to this type of thing, and it's definitely something that you need to look for. when you are buying, so you're not buying something with holes in it and being surprised when you get home. Overall, if you come across something in the thrift store that says cashmere on it, be sure to look it up on eBay because the comps are usually pretty solid on cashmere pieces. This piece right here is really cool. This is a 1994 Mead Trapper Keeper, and as you can see, it's a Sonic the Hedgehog Trapper Keeper. Down here in the corner, you can see the date is 1994 on it, which does indicate that it's a vintage one. Now, this is something that a lot of people would walk past. It's in a niche category of items that I don't think a ton of resellers here on YouTube ever talk about, and that's office supplies. There are actually quite a few Trapper Keepers and notebook brands that are very valuable when you pick them up and have a very good following. Now, what makes this one special isn't the company that made it, it's the subject that is printed on it. Sonic is a huge market. On top of that, the Sonic the Hedgehog movie just came out like a week or two ago, so I'm sure that played a part in the bump in search results. But as you can see right here, I ended up getting a pretty good price for it. I ended up taking a best offer of $60, and I only had this for about a week before it sold. I found it at Salvation Army for $3. And just as a tip for you guys, a notebook brand that sells very well that I find relatively often is Lisa Frank. Some of the 90s Lisa Frank stuff sells very well on eBay, and there is a demand for it, so keep an eye out for that kind of stuff when you're walking around your thrift stores and maybe going down like the office supplies aisle. Here we have a Scully's Denim Western Diamond Pearl Snap shirt. Now, this one actually sold once. I got it returned, and then I sold it again. So the first time it sold, I only had it up there for about a week before it ended up going. Once it got returned, I relisted it, no big deal, and it sold in about another week. So Scully, I had never sold the brand before, but it's definitely something I'm going to have on my radar as I move forward because of how fast it sold. This one was brand new with tags, as you can see right here. It just seemed like it had a really good following. The comps were really solid, and it had a pretty good sell-through rate. I don't really have a problem selling denim Western shirts in general, so this one I was going to pick it up either way, that if I knew the brand or not. It just so happened that I didn't know the brand, and it ended up being worth something good. So I ended up paying $5 for this at Goodwill and sold it for a best offer of $45. Here's a brand I talk about pretty often. This is FootJoy. FootJoy is a great brand. I pick up a ton of FootJoy stuff. I pick up the sweaters, I pick up the jackets, I pick up the shirts, the polos. FootJoy has a very good following, and as we move into the spring season, golf's going to be coming around, and since this is a golf brand, it's going to start selling more and more as we move forward. This one is a ribbed long sleeve pullover. It had a 1/4 zip, and the 1/4 zip ones actually sell very fast for me, so just like the jackets do. This one was actually just a normal FootJoy as well. It wasn't a Dry Joys brand, and that line is just a waterproof line that they have. But this sweater sold really well. I think I had this on my store for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. Ended up taking a best offer of $35 on it. And one thing to note about FootJoy is that it does do a lot of collaborations with various golf courses and events. So on a lot of the stuff, you're going to end up seeing a logo on it for a specific golf course or a brand or an event name. It'll be either on the chest or on the sleeve or something. Typically, when you find those kind of things, the branded ones are going to be worth less than the plain ones. Now, there are a few exceptions, like if you find a Masters FootJoy or a Titleist FootJoy or something like that, those ones are worth more. But if it's just a generic golf course logo on the chest or something like that, it's typically just going to be worth a little less than what a plain one would be. The next item we have is a new with tags Peter Millar 1/4 zip vest. So as you can see here, this was a Peter Millar vest. Here's the tag. I don't pick up as much Peter Millar as I used to. I still pick it up relatively frequently. I've been skipping out on a bunch of the polos and stuff lately. I'll still pick up the summer comfort brands. I'll still pick up, if it's new with tags, the sweaters and sweatshirts and jackets I'll still pick up. And then some of the dress shirts, depending on the style of it, I will still pick up. Overall, it's a great brand to look for. It's just that some of the items have steadily been going down in price over the last couple months, which is something that as a reseller you need to take note of. So because of that, I've just weeded out a few items that I no longer pick up as much. But this item in particular, being a vest and being new with tags, I knew it would sell well. I had it listed at $40, ended up getting the full $40 in about a week's time. So that is great. Even without the tags on it, I still think I could have got around the $25 to $30 range out of it. This right here is just an Adidas jacket. It was a plain jacket. It did have a nice spell out down the sleeve, and that's why I picked this one out to show you guys, because I get asked why I pick up windbreakers so often. They're one of the items that I really enjoy listing and picking up and finding because there's so many different variations of them. I find them to just be a fun item for me to list, take pictures of, sell, that kind of thing. But when it comes to Adidas or Nike or these other common common brands, you want to look for things like the big spell out on the sleeve or a big logo on the back, or in Adidas's case, if you can find the trefoil logo. Stuff like that makes it stand out. Now, if this was just a normal plain black Adidas Windbreaker, nothing too special about it, no logo, no spell out, no 3 stripes, anything like that, I would have passed on this in the thrift store for $5. But because this one did have the spell out on the sleeve, I went ahead and picked it up, ended up selling it for $30. And like I said, I paid like $5 for this. Here we have a Tome Laptop Bag. Tome is a fantastic brand. I've sold all kinds of stuff from them, from various bags to just the straps alone to travel adapters. Tome is just a very well-known brand, and it's a very trusted brand, and because of that, it commands a pretty high price because their quality is very good. This one right here was a messenger laptop bag. Nothing too special about it. It wasn't like a really limited model or anything. It was a pretty common one. But I ended up picking this up at a thrift store for, I think, like $10 and sold it for $50. It sat on my store for a while, actually. I ended up sitting on it for about 2 months, maybe 3 months before it ended up selling. Maybe that was because my price was a little higher or something like that. Either way, it ended up selling. Nothing super special here. I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew this brand. If you see this logo, it's always worth looking up because they do have such a cult following on their items. This here is a Lacoste button front denim shirt. Now, Lacoste is a brand that I don't suggest you pick up super often unless you know what you're getting. So for me, I like picking up the larger size polos, sell well for me. Some of the dress shirts, depending on the style, sell well for me. And denim stuff sells well for me from Lacoste. It is one of those mall brands that I don't typically recommend that people pick up, but it does have certain niche items, just like Vineyard Vines for me, that I do like picking up on occasion. This one being a denim thing is something that I do suggest people pick up. This shirt sat on my store for a week or two before it ended up selling. I paid $5 for it, ended up getting 30. Just if you're going to pick up Lacoste stuff, make sure you are comping out what you're picking up before you get it, because if you're picking it up at $5, you might only get 15 to 20 bucks for it, which for me and with my business model when it comes to my eBay is on the lower end of things when it comes to what I'm looking for profit-wise. You might recognize this from my last thrifting video. This sold extremely fast in my store. This was a Carhartt Hubbard Sherpa lined flannel. I had it up there for like 2 days before it ended up selling, and I ended up taking a best offer of $50 on it. It got a bunch of watchers in the first day, and I was like, you know, the first good offer comes across, so I'm not afraid to take it. So that's what I did, took a $50 offer. Carhartt is a brand that you should definitely be looking for. Certain things of theirs sell well. Some other things I would pass on. So like your normal everyday shirts and some of the jeans and stuff I pass on. But stuff like this where it's a lined flannel, or if it's on their like fire resistant line or something like that, I always make it a point to look it up because some of that goes for a premium, this being one of those things. What I mean by Sherpa lined is when it's got this fleece lining on the inside of the flannel. Sherpa lined is a great keyword to use in your titles. It's something that eBay likes to pick up, and it's something that is searched relatively frequently. Overall, my rule of thumb with Carhartt stuff is if it feels heavy duty or really well made in quality, it's typically worth looking up. If you find the fire resistant line, something that's Sherpa lined, or overalls or something, those are all key items to look for. For the prices that I pay at my thrift stores in my area, the stuff that I end up passing on is typically like the button fronts, most of the jeans, and plain shirts. So it's definitely a brand to know. Just keep an eye out for specific things within that brand. Here's another one of those POC helmets. This was my final mountain bike helmet that I had left in stock. Ended up selling out at $150. I've talked about this pickup enough to where all of you guys probably know about it. If you haven't seen this pickup, go back and look. It was one of my first postings of 2020. Fantastic score. Ended up paying like 15 or 20 bucks for this helmet and got 150 bucks out of it. I just wanted to throw that in to show you guys that the helmets are still selling strong. So here's a pair of Athleta leggings. I've noticed Athleta stuff kind of comes in waves and goes up and down in price. Sometimes I'll be able to get like $30 out of a pair of leggings. Sometimes I'll get like $20 out of a pair of leggings. A lot of it does have to do with the graphics or the style of the leggings. From my personal experience, the ones with the patterns on the leggings, like these ones do, you can see down the leg, they have this like geometric pattern on the side. These are the kind that sell well for this specific brands. I don't do as well with their solid colored ones, but the ones with the crazy designs and stuff seem to go pretty fast. If you're not familiar with the tag, here's the tag. It's just a circle with some swirls in the middle. Don't get this confused with the tangerine one. The tangerine symbol is very close to the Athleta one. I just wanted to point that out for you guys because if you're a new seller, that might be something that trips you up if you are only looking at the symbols. Make sure you are looking and seeing that it says Athleta because the symbols are pretty similar. Here's another Lacoste piece. This one is a vintage Izod Lacoste Harrington jacket, and I wanted to put this one in there because this is another piece of Lacoste that sells very, very well. It has a good following and it's something that is well desired. Here's what the tags look like. This is a vintage Izod Lacoste tag right here. You can see it says Izod and Lacoste. It has the gator in the middle. As you can see, this did have like a plaid lining in it, and that is a keyword that I used in my title. And Harrington is definitely a keyword that you want to look out for. A Harrington jacket is like this grandpa style jacket. I don't really know how to describe it fully. It's almost like a golf jacket that you would wear casually as you're going out. It has a really good following when it comes to these things, especially to like more common brands like Lacoste and Polo Ralph Lauren is another good Harrington jacket to look for. But this is one of those instances where knowing the market for a specific style is something that's going to dictate you buying it more than what the brand will. Like I said before, Lacoste is not a bad brand. It's something that I do pick up on occasion, but the fact that this was a Harrington jacket is the reason that I picked it up. I paid $7.50 for this at a Goodwill, ended up selling for $45 in about a month and a half. Here's another item from that last thrift video that I put out. I actually picked this up at the exact same store as that last Carhartt flannel. This is a Babolat Tennis Bag. Babolat's a great tennis brand to look for. You're not only looking at the bags like this one, but you're also looking at the rackets and stuff. It's a great brand to look for and a very popular brand when it comes to tennis rackets. This particular bag was a backpack style one, but you can find ones that are like tennis bags that just have the Babolat spelling on it. Those sell well as well. I think I ended up paying like $6 for this at the thrift store. Ended up selling in under a week for $37.50. This one was pretty clean. It did have a little bit of discoloration here on the zippers. I made sure to note that in the listing. But overall, Babolat is a brand that you need to be looking out for. And if you're just getting into sports equipment, one to have on your bolo list. So here's a brand you're not going to find very often, but if you do find it, make sure that you have it in your wheelhouse to know it. This is Dale of Norway. They have a pretty good following on their sweaters. A lot of the Scandinavian sweaters in general have some good value to them if you're finding like Sandbad of Iceland or Dale of Norway, this kind of stuff. And they sell pretty well and at a pretty good price. As you can see here, this one was priced at $100. It was sitting throughout the winter and I ended up taking a best offer of $75 on it. Not bad at all. I'll take that all day long considering I spent like $5 or $7 on this sweater at the beginning of winter. Here's what the tag looks like. It's something to write down if you're following along, writing down your bolo list. Make sure this is in it. Dale of Norway, I can't stress it enough. It's not one that I see other resellers talk about. It's not one that you're going to come across a whole lot. However, if you do see it, make sure you know it. Here we have a North Face Women's Carolina quilted jacket. Now, I knew this style when I found it in the thrift store. I knew that it sold for a higher price than a normal one. And what gave that away for me was the quilting on the outside of the jacket, followed by the fleece lining on the inside. So you could tell it was a really good quality jacket. Here's the North Face. If you guys don't know the tag, you should know this one. It's a pretty common brand. But I wanted to include this because this is a reason that you should know certain styles within a brand. So this one being a Carolina quilted jacket made me be able to sell it at a higher price because I knew the style. If I would have just put this up as a North Face quilted jacket and you typed that into the search results, you probably would have saw that they are only selling around the like $30-ish range. But because I was able to find this exact style name, I was able to get $50 out of it. So knowing styles and being able to look up that kind of information is something that comes as you do it more and more, but it's definitely a skill that you should learn and something that you should incorporate into your business as you're looking up comps and listing your items. This was a new one for me. This is a Love Your Melon Palm Beanie. I'd never heard of this brand before and I came across it at an estate sale. There was 3 of the beanies and 2 of these, like, they're called infinity scarves. And I ended up selling this beanie for $29.95. I had like $2 into it. Here's the tag if you guys want to look at it. But what made me end up picking this one up or looking it up at the estate sale was the quality of the stitching on the hat. It just felt like a really high quality and tightly knitted garment, so I made sure to look it up. And when I did, I was pleasantly surprised to see that they were going for a decent amount and the sell-through rate was very good on them. So very happy with this pickup. It's a brand that I just learned and a brand that I wanted to share with you guys to have on your bolo list because it's a new one for me. Here we have a Masters Collection 1/4 zip pullover sweater. Now, I've seen a few other resellers mention how they think this brand is falling off in price, and I just wanted to let you guys know that's a pretty typical thing for golf apparel as you go into winter months. As we move out of winter and start transitioning into the spring season, you'll start noticing that golf apparel prices start to level out and become more and more regular again, and the sell-through rate starts to increase as you get into the warmer months. This is something that happens every year. Masters Collection is no different. It's something that drops off in price a little bit during the winter, and then once golf season hits, it should be back to where it was the previous season. With that being said, this was a Pima cotton piece, which is really nice. As you can see right here on the tag, it does command a little bit of a higher price than your normal cotton blend one. I ended up paying $7.50 for this at a thrift store. It's been sitting in my store for about 2 months, and it's sold for $40. So this is a pretty cool piece. This is a Nike FC Barcelona Messi jersey, and I actually originally listed this too low. I originally listed this for $30, and then when I put the thrifting video out of me picking this up, one of you guys commented on my video, letting me know this was actually a rare version of this jersey because it was Messi's debut season or something like that. And I should have saved whose comment it was. I apologize for not remembering your username, but thank you so much for letting me know that, because this jersey ended up selling for $60, and because you let me know that, I was able to double my profit on that, so I thank you very much for leaving me that comment. And this is why I like sharing my stuff, and I think it's really important that you network with other resellers, because they are in the same business you are. If they see you have something that they know you mispriced or something, there's a pretty good chance that someone's going to reach out to you and let you know that what you have is probably worth more than what you think. Now, that may not always be the case, and there might be a few duds here and there, but in general, the reselling community is pretty awesome, and people like to help each other out, and I like to think that's what we're doing here on my channel, is helping each other out. So thank you so much for letting me know that this was a rare jersey. I appreciate the advice, and thank you for helping me double my profit on this one. And I wanted to pass that information on to you guys. So if you see this version of a Messi jersey out there, please note that it is worth considerably more than a normal one is. And finally, the last item I want to talk about is this Black Diamond 0-point climbing axe. This one right here was a vintage climbing axe from back in the 90s, I believe, so it was an older model, not one that's really used anymore. It's kind of long and big and bulky compared to modern day ice axes. It's not something that you would typically see a climber using in the modern day, but I did end up picking this up last garage sale season because obviously it is really cool. I mean, how often do you find a ice axe at a garage sale? I ended up having this listed since last garage sale season, had a $100 price tag on it, which is a little higher than what a modern day ice climbing axe goes for, but I figured, you know, maybe a collector would want it or something. Maybe I could command a little bit of a higher price because there were no other ones listed on eBay of this model. But it did end up sitting, and I ended up taking a best offer of $75, which I'm really happy with. And the reason that I ended up giving it to this person is because when the person sent me the offer, they actually pointed out that that was the price of a brand new Black Diamond climbing axe, and I couldn't really argue with that logic, so I gave it to them for $75, went to a great home. It was a little bit awkward to ship because it didn't fit in a baseball bat long tube, and it didn't really fit well in a small box, so I kind of had a Frankenbox one together to get to ship out. If you guys are afraid of Frankenboxing stuff, don't be. You can tape stuff together. The post office doesn't care as long as it's sturdy and gets the job done. As long as you do it well, you can do it. Overall, this was just a really unique sale. If you come across climbing gear or hiking gear, I've said it a lot, it's stuff that you need to be looking at because that stuff does hold value very well. And that's going to do it. That's going to wrap things up for this video. I hope that you guys all enjoyed. If you learned something, please leave me a comment down in the comment section below. Also, just as a last reminder, the FMEMO giveaway is still currently running through March 9th, so if you haven't got your submissions in, make sure to go do that. If you need more information on that, please watch the last video that I put out. I'll link it in the description below. I wish you all luck in that giveaway. Thank you guys all for supporting me. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe. Keep on treasure hunting. Peace.